I'm trying to get that last little bit out of the rear bumper to get that thing fitting perfect. And we are really close. You know, I don't know what the margin of error is, but I'd say we're just about there. So let's check out what we got going on. So you see, we are really close. Like that screw is right there. It's kind of the same gap as this one. Like this one's got a little bit of push to it. This has a little bit of push to it. And when you get that little bit of push, these line up perfect. Like that, that is within margin of error. That is close. That is really close too. I mean, I wish I could get a little closer. And I wonder if it's kind of rotated that way a little bit. That's super close. Is it margin of error? I don't know. But I started looking at just the trunk, some of these panels, to see how these things fit together. Like, does this panel fit in there? If it's in there, great. I mean, like, you look at that. There is nothing. Nothing looks awry. I think we are close. Now, I might try to work on that a little bit more, but there's no way to get to it. All I've got is like one little spot in the hollow. Let's see. Let me pull this one out. There we go. I know, man. All these little panels and things, I'm going to have to remember where they are, what they go to. So you can see, I got this little opening. Let's get in there. That little opening right there. That's the only way I can get to the other, because otherwise I'm starting to pinch this, because this is hollow in there, and I don't want to pinch that for sure. And I want to make sure things fitting together. It is. So yeah, I may be at my end. I mean, what I could always do, I don't love to do this. You could just cut out a little bit this way to get that clip fitting, but I don't know, can I get this to fit? Yeah, see? You can push it. It's a little off center. I may see what I can do with that. Maybe see if I can maybe I'll pull directly on that bracket, try to pull it out a little bit to get it in place. We'll see, but we are close. I mean, this thing is looking pretty good. I'm loving it. All right, we've got it fit right. It is awesome. It's looking good. I've checked the trunk, the way it closes, the adjoining quarter panels, interior panels of the trunk, everything. And it fits. Now, can I put everything back in? No, because of this. And this is where you're going to see shortcuts that a lot of people take that I'm not going to take because I'm me and I don't shortcut. I need to put seam. I need to reapply seam sealer on the inside of the trunk where, you know, the two panels I had to beat on a little bit. I need to reapply seam sealer because I want this thing weather tight. I'm going to respray with some primer, etching primer in the trunk because I did flake some paint out, chip some paint out in some of those places. I don't want bare metal because I don't want rust from the inside. So again, the etching primer, good to have there. Is that pretty much it? Yeah, seam sealer, primer, and then like you got little foam pads for the spare tire. They don't really stick anymore. I'm gonna re-glue those down so they're in place. Because again, just little details. I want this thing right. I'm gonna make it right. And those are places where most people will not go that level of detail because once the trunk carpet's in and everything's there, you're not gonna see that. You'd have to pull out the trunk carpet, pull out all these panels, pull out the spare tire, and then look. And most people, they're not going to go to that trouble, especially if a car like this is not going to go to that trouble. But I do. I go the extra mile. The Ward works way. One more thing. One thing I'm not done with in the trunk, I drilled a hole to pull it out. I need to fill that hole. That's why I keep all parts, man. I will strip every part I get for spares like this. Do I use it often? No, but when I need it, it's good. So I've got these 3 rubber stoppers caps that look factory because they are from the factory. I'm going to see which one fits in the hole best. I may need to re-drill my hole to make these fit, which is fine. The small one I think might be too small. These other ones might be too big, but I might just re-drill to give them a fit so it looks factory. I mean, like with this plug in there, it'll look factory, and that's what we want. So I got my step drill bit right there, drilled this hole right there. Look at that. That is a rubber plug, some factory something, I don't know what. Put it in there. I mean, look at this. You look at that, you would not think anything about that. And that's how it's done. You make it look factory. So this trunk, man, looking good. Things came out really well. So I think we are all set on the rear bumper. I think that is good to go. Just needs some paint. Everything is fitting like it should. Gaps look good. You love to see it. The front. Still dealing with my front fender that's a little out of whack. And I don't want to buy a new fender, but will I have to? Because the only option I have is to beat on the fender I have and not mess it up. If I mess it up, I gotta buy a new fender. If I don't do anything at all with it, I gotta buy a new fender. So the best case scenario, I beat on the fender. It works, it looks good and perfect, because, you know, I'm particular like that. I think I can get it into shape, I hope. If not, I gotta buy a fender. And I don't want to buy a fender. And this one has pinstripe on it. Would I have to pinstripe it? Would I take the pinstripe off the rest of the car? Decisions that I don't want to fool with. So what are we working with over here? So if you remember, and even if you don't, this piece of the fender, it was way out, way proud. What did I do? I just pushed on it really hard, pushed on it this way. And you can see I still got a little bit of a ripple right in here. Not quite as bad. Pushing this in kind of worked that out a little bit. It's a little bit messed up. And I think that I can fix. You can see it's kind of a little messed up there. I think I can work on that some. I mean, I think maybe some hammer and dolly work. I don't really know. You can see here, this is the worst. This gap right in here. And you kind of feel it. You can feel it right in here. You gotta know what you have to have been doing this a while. I'm an expert at this practically. You can feel there's a little bit of ripples. I think this fender needs to kind of come in towards this way. And if you look at this, I think the inner and outer fender, they're just not attached. And so I think like they kind of clamp like that. I think that would help get some of this better aligned. But even if you glue that, that might bring this in some, but not enough. So I'm just gonna try to push on it and get it right. So you can see that gap. That gap looks good. Starts looking worse and worse and worse and worse. And holy crap, that's a terrible gap. And you look at the other side. The other side, the gap looks good. Hood's a little high. I need to adjust my hood things. But this looks good. It gives you a good idea of what it should look like. Should be pretty consistent. Now it looks like it gets a little wider here, but it's also the hood's kind of curving. But nothing here on this side, so I know this side is factory. Maybe from the factory it just didn't fit great. But let me adjust my hood rubber stoppers, because that's a little high. And maybe the hot side, is that? Because even right there is high. You got to go basically all the way back. So that is a hood stopper issue. What about this side? A little high too. Let me check my hood stoppers. Let me see what's happening here. After looking at the hood, bumpers, and how everything fits, I think it might be the hood latch. I bolted that thing back on there. I'm not sure I paid much attention to where I bolted it. And I think if the hood latch would just lower down, that would solve all my problems. And it could just very well be that when I bolted it in, I bolted it in too high. So we're gonna, well, I don't know about I am gonna check that out. A game of inches maybe. I mean, maybe it's better. It doesn't look great. I mean, it is better. Like before, it was still high even back in here. It's still a little high here. Is it my fender? I don't think so. At least not that fender. This fender is still kind of wonky. I've been pushing on it a little bit. But I don't know if you can tell that. It's a little high right in there. And you can see it bows out there. I think a little bit of hammer and dolly. I keep talking about hammer and dolly. I've not actually done any hammer and dolly work. I've only attempted it once. You know, I went to school once. I think that's enough, where I just practiced in my backyard once. I think that's good. But I think that will help that. I have to think about it, but I think that'll bring some of this down. This is out. I was kind of like just pressing on it by hand, because, you know, that always works. And you can still see there's something going on there. Maybe that's hammer and dolly, but the problem is, if you look at that, the inner and outer fender, they are not glued together. So I think if I could glue them together, like kind of like so, that gap gets better. Now, it's certainly ain't a good gap yet. That, I mean, yeah, I don't know. That might be hammer and dolly work. You can see it's got a bow there. I think, you know, we'll see. This, you know, I pressed on this. This is actually looking way better. This piece was way out. Now it looks like it's good. Just need to work on that a little bit, get that lip good. But the this side of the lip is okay. I think it's slightly got a slight bow, maybe, but almost imperceptible. This one's a little more noticeable. This guy, I don't know. I guess I can just keep pressing on this fender. Like, even though you can feel a little bit of something right in there, it's not that much, I don't think. You know, maybe I need to check the fender bolts, because I bet when everything hit, it might have loosened up some bolts. It may just need to be the fender bolts are in this area. Unbolt it, bring the fender this way. I need to check that. Is this hood up? No, it's not. I do need to glue this, like just glue this back, because those two things are separated, and that will bring this back in line a little bit. And the hood's a little high on this side. Maybe it's just supposed to be high. I don't know. And it's a uniform proudness on either side, which to me, you think if something's wrong, it would be like, oh, this side's high, that side's not, something. But they're both high the same amount, which who knows? I don't get it. And just to revisit the hood being high, I checked, I redid the latch, I lowered that as much as possible, which really didn't seem like it moved at all. And I think looking at the hood, maybe it moved a little bit, but there's nothing else to adjust. I mean, this latch, can I adjust this latch? No. No. Okay. So this fender bolt, it doesn't look like it's moved. This one doesn't look like it's moved. But it might be worth just loosening these, seeing if I can get it to go a little bit that way and bring it back home. Because I wonder if this goes through the fender. Yeah, but that's part of the fender. So it might just maybe this needs to come back in a little bit. I mean, you hit these things and they bow. So I can feel that kind of has a little bow to it. And just the other side. That's a good thing. You always need. Yeah, that's got a bow. That's kind of the problem with getting a car back in shape. If you don't have a reference car to know what the shape is, you're kind of guessing at the shape you're getting it back into. That's the problem I had with the rear of the car, getting that back in shape. I don't know what shape I'm getting back into. I'm just guessing based on the evidence in front of me. It's making some very broad assumptions. And so at least with the front of the car, I've got one side that should be just about perfect. So I can use one side or the other to see, hey, where should this be? Where should this hood line be? How proud should the hood be since the driver's side over there, the hood's a little bit proud, well, that side was not hit at all. It's all on this passenger side, and that hood is proud the same amount. Seems like maybe that's what it's supposed to be. I mean, it seems weird. I would think the hood would be flush. It's a Hyundai, man. I don't know. Maybe they do things a little bit different over there. I don't know. But I'm erring on the side of maybe that's just the way it's supposed to be. Now, I'm going to fix this hood gap. I think maybe loosen the fender bolt, see if I can work that a little bit. I do need to bend it back a little bit. Hammer and dolly work. Keep saying hammer and dolly work. Maybe eventually I'll get there. We'll see. It's getting close. I need to start looking into paint. I don't know much about automotive paint because I've never actually done it. That's not going to stop me from doing anything. Not knowing has never stopped me from doing anything or giving my opinion on anything. But my guess is, I'm pretty sure, I need to double check, I think these bumpers are pre-primed, which is wonderful, which is beautiful. I looked at the rear bumper because that one is ready to go. I don't see any scratches, any faults, no reason I would need to prime it. It looks great. Now let's say there was a little tiny defect and I didn't see it. Well, you know what? It's so tiny, if I didn't see it, it doesn't really matter. But from there, I need to seal it. I then need to paint it with color that matches the silver and then clear it. That's the way you do it. That's the way you do it. You need some flex additive in the, I guess in the sealer, the paint and the clear, because you want it to flex because the bumper's plastic. It's going to flex. If you don't flex, it's going to flake. If not next week, the week after. That's what I think. Now I've done some, I think that because I've done Google research. That's all I got here. I'm going to try to talk to somebody that knows a little bit more than me because that is always helpful when you know what you're doing. And go from there. But paint is coming soon. So hoping I can find painted bumpers to save myself some money. I didn't because I could have bought, if I could have found a bumper in a junkyard, already the right color, 150 bucks. Boom, done, set. Instead, I bought bumpers for I think 80 bucks each. I might spend, I'm hoping I spend $200 total on paint. I may be wildly wrong. I don't really know paint prices. So I'm being into it for 180, which ain't bad. I mean, a little bit more, but not bad. It'll be a fresh coat of paint. It will be perfect, so that's nice. So that's where we stand. That's where we're heading. I'm ready to get this project done because guess what? I got some more projects on the way. That's right. More car projects. This channel is just, hey, these are projects I'm working on. I'm working on a lot of car projects lately. Just the way it goes. I feel like I need to take a break, branch out a little bit, because typically in my life, I've never had a car project. It's always, you know, woodworking or props or costumes or around the house or something like that. And then somehow I've gotten to these car projects and they keep multiplying. I keep getting more. I don't know. You know, once you pop, you can't stop, I guess.